the Christmas season now, and of course, people everywhere are getting ready for the season between shopping, putting up lights, and decorating their Christmas tree. Therefore, I decided to try and get into the holiday spirit and share some of my own little Christmas pleasures over the next few weeks. Say for when the Sonic 3 movie comes out, I'll be sure to do a review on that, don't worry. Granted, I should have probably started this trend last week, but it's okay, I suppose. So, up first on my Christmas list is movies. Yep, movies have been something that I've been enjoying since I was very, very little. Like, 2 years old little. So this week I figured I'd walk you guys through some of my favorite childhood Christmas movies. Many of these might be on the kiddie side of things, but don't worry. I have a few in here that even adults will like. Anyway, here's my list of nostalgic Christmas movies that I watched during the Christmas season. Let's get into it. First things first. We're going back all the way to when I was around 4 to 5 years old. Back here, we're actually going to start with the one and only show on this list, Curious George. I decided to put this in regardless of the fact that they're not really movies, since I actually owned the entire first season basically my whole life. And little me thought that since they were in disc form, they were movies. Anyway, A Monkey Christmas is a classic in my opinion. There are two other winter-themed episodes that I can think of as well, Ski Monkey and Curious George vs. Winter. Both do have fun little lessons in them about things such as weight distribution and the different states of water, but even still, I find these enjoyable to come back to every so often. And even though they're for little kids, I think that adults can even sometimes enjoy this classic cartoon. Moving along a few years later, my whole world was basically Barbie movies. And fun fact, I actually own 19 out of the 43 movies that are out now. I've even watched a few more than that in recent years, thanks to things like streaming services and my ability to surf the internet, which I think makes around 23 Barbie movies in total now. I'm not completely sure, but I think that's roughly the number, meaning I've watched over half the series. So, the 3 Christmas movies that are in this entire collection are Barbie and the Nutcracker, Barbie and a Christmas Carol, and Barbie and the Perfect Christmas, which, by the way, were made in that exact order. Plus, Barbie and the Nutcracker was the first animated Barbie movie to ever be made, so that's a cool fact as well. And I mean, there's not really too much to explain about the first 2 movies, since they're based on age-old classic Christmas stories. But still, there are a few changes in these movies. For instance, Uncle Drosselmeyer is now Aunt Drosselmeyer. No sister is ever mentioned in the Barbie movie, as well as Clara's mother. And her little brother is named Tommy instead of Fritz. Plus, there are a few other special characters, like Captain Candy, Major Mint, Peppermint Patty, and the Gingerbread Boy, who I don't think is even ever mentioned by name directly. And a similar thing happens with Barbie and a Christmas Carol, although there are actually a lot more changes in this movie since, well, this is still a kids movie and you're trying to make all the characters likable in one way or another. So, instead of Scrooge, Barbie's name is Eden Starling, and she's a grumpy music performer. The first ghost that approaches her isn't her best friend either, whose name is Catherine and is still very much alive in the story. Instead, it's her Aunt Marie that visits her in chains, though the sight is definitely less terrifying than some of the other Christmas Carol renditions. And again, all the ghosts are quite friendly too, including the Christmas Future one, who was actually my favorite growing up. Both are great picks in my opinion, even though they're not word for word like the original stories they're based on. Unlike the more recent Christmas Barbie movie, A Perfect Christmas, which, I'll be honest, I've only watched it like 2 or 3 times when I was younger. It's about Barbie and her sisters all having different, rather separate plans for Christmas, but their plans get thwarted because of a snowstorm, and they get stuck in a small Holiday Inn together in the middle of nowhere. It's an okay movie overall, and still fun for little kids, but I think if you're gonna watch a children's movie with parents or older kids around, the first 2 are a little more attention-grabbing than the latter. Moving on again, sorry, that last section was a little chunky. Another movie that I was, and still am obsessed with, is The Chronicles of Narnia. I love all 3 movies in the series, but for this video, I'm actually just recommending the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. While the movie itself seems to take place during summer, once they step into the wonderful world of Narnia, everything is a wintry wonderland. And on top of that, Santa himself actually gives 3 of the Pevensies their special gifts to help them battle the White Witch. So I'd say that this is still a solid Christmas winter movie to watch, and it's definitely friendly for adults and children alike. Now as we get a little more into my early teen years, I started to discover How to Train Your Dragon. I know that might sound a little backwards, since Narnia is probably a more adult-friendly movie than How to Train Your Dragon is, but this was around the time that I started to explore more stuff on the internet, and I realized I really liked the franchise. So, there are 2 Christmas specials for How to Train Your Dragon, Gift of the Night Fury and How to Train Your Dragon Homecoming. Between the 2, I honestly like Gift of the Night Fury more, but I think that Homecoming is a little more well-rounded of a movie. The first special is all about funny accidents, references to already existing Christmas traditions, and the relationship between Hiccup and Toothless. Meanwhile, the second special is more around Hiccup and his family, as well as the kids of Toothless and the Light Fury. The jokes are a little less corny in my opinion, and the overall feel is a little more emotional than Gift of the Night Fury. But no matter your preference, I'd recommend both these specials for the holidays, for both children and adults alike. And up next, this can't be a Christmas movie recommendation video if I don't include Home Alone. I mean, come on. Now, I actually don't remember when I first was introduced to Home Alone, but I do know that only a few years ago I got to watch Home Alone 2 and the new rendition of the movie called Home Sweet Home Alone, which I have to say was pretty funny considering it's kind of a ripoff of a Christmas classic. But getting back to Kevin, this is a great movie that my family and I watch pretty much every year during Christmas, just like plenty of other families. The humor, the cast, it all just fits really well. Need I say more? And right after, the next movie on this list was made roughly 6 to 4 years later after Home Alone, depending on which movie in the series you're talking about. Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sinbad, and Jake Matthew Lloyd, this funny toy-focused movie shows Christmas from a little more of a realistic view, coming from the parents' perspective as two fathers duke it out so that their kids can get the latest action figure called Turbo Man before Christmas Day. There's plenty of humor, action, and even a little bit of drama to boot. Definitely a recommendation in my book. Finally, we come to probably the most classic of all the Christmas stories. No, it's not It's a Wonderful Life. That movie is way too overrated. And long. Very long. It's over 2 hours. Granted, things like the Lord of the Rings series and Avatar series are significantly longer, but I don't know, for a Christmas movie with low graphics and a rather simple message, the movie has no business being over 2 hours long in my opinion. Anyway, that's not the movie I was talking about in the first place. I was actually talking about A Christmas Carol. The story has been told to death over 100 times at this point, being put into shows and even a video game apparently, along with a plethora of lone-standing movies. But the one that is my personal favorite is actually Scrooged, starring Bill Murray. This came out in 1988, 2 years before Home Alone. And even though it's a little creepy and scary, it's also funny in my opinion, which is a must if you're sitting down to watch a movie for the holidays. For the exact opposite reason why I dislike It's a Wonderful Life, Scrooge has plenty of jokes and funny moments that make the otherwise heavy moments of the movie still enjoyable. And just like that, there we have it. A list of classics that I've watched during the holiday season that I just wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully you like my recommendations, and maybe you guys can even recommend me some new movies down in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!